have another book haul. Mid-August, got a bunch of new books to talk about added to our Telltale library. And I'm going to start with what's quickly becoming my favorite bookseller, KU Books. He posts all the books he gets and is offering for sale online on Instagram, and I'm seeing them, and he's been really good about helping me find H.G. Wells for my collection. And so the first two I have to show are Mr. Britling Sees It Through and The Soul of a Bishop, which I didn't realize this, but apparently these two books, they're not like a duology, but apparently the stories are related. I'm not sure how. I won't know that till I read them. I've never read those H.G. Wells books, but those are World War I era H.G. Wells books that are now part of my collection. Another one that he had available is Meanwhile by H.G. Wells, a little bit later of a book, and The Undying Fire. Not in the best condition, but it's kind of an attractive book. I really like. There, it's catching the light a little bit. I really like the typography on the cover. Beautiful little book. Though, like I say, it isn't in the greatest condition, but it's not bad. And the interesting thing about this, most of the books from that era are cloth bound. If you look at it, you can feel there's cloth over a cardboard on the cover. Most books back then were like that. This one is not. This is not cloth over the cardboard. It is paper like they do today. So it's kind of different for that era. Obviously a cheaper process. That's why they do it on all books today instead of cloth bound, but I prefer cloth bound, but what are you going to do? That's the way it was done. Another one that he had for sale that I just had to get, I first saw this beautiful marbled cover, and then I saw the spine and saw that it was Erwin by Samuel Butler. Now, Samuel Butler is the author of the translation of The Iliad and the Odyssey that we read last year. This is his most famous novel. It's a utopia, so it's science fiction, but it was written, I believe, in the 1880s and was an influence on H.G. Wells for When the Sleeper Wakes. And it's just a beautiful book with illustrations by H. Charles Tomlinson, some nice typography. I quite like it. I've been wanting to read this book for a while, ever since I read When the Sleeper Wakes. And of course, right now, I can't find one of the illustrations. So then there's the books that KU always sends me as an extra that I didn't necessarily ask for, but he's been pretty good at picking out things that I'm going to be in, that I find myself interested in. One of them is this one by C.D. Lewis, A Time to Dance. It's a book of poetry. Never read this, honestly never heard of C.D. Lewis. But I'm going to trust KU that I'm going to like this, and I will read it. And the other one he sent recently is this one. Got a very faded spine, but otherwise it's in pretty good shape. But it's called Immensee by Theodore Storm. It was originally in German. It's a very beautiful book. Wonderful typography in it. Some beautiful illustrations. Another one that I really don't know anything about, but I'm trusting, he hasn't been wrong yet. He's sent me some really good stuff, and so I'm looking forward to reading it. Another one that I got recently, which I've already finished reading actually, because I'm shooting this. I'm actually reshooting this video because the first one was too blurry. I hate my camera. But that is Philip Roth's The Breast. It's a surreal book, kind of an updating of Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. Put that and the title together and, well, you basically know what you need to know. And like I say, I already read it. It's a very interesting book. It's very different. Not for everybody, definitely not for kids. Another book I got, My Friend the Murderer. This edition has such a beautiful cover. Unfortunately, I didn't know this when I bought it, or I would have kept looking, but there are, and it's a collection of short stories. Unfortunately, the pages that are torn out are not the story that I want to read. It's a collection of short stories by Arthur Conan Doyle. And Emily contacted me and said, let's read My Friend the Murderer. Just that one short story. And fortunately, that one is intact. So I can still read the story for a telltale read, but it's just so unfortunate that this beautiful edition has pages torn out. I'm really bugged by that. So another somewhat newer book that I've purchased because I want to have the complete works of J.G. Ballard is Kingdom Come. I've never had this book. Now it's part of my collection, and I will be reading that and reviewing that. This one is a new release from Subterranean Press. It's a collection of the best of Walter John Williams, one of the better science fiction authors from my earlier days of reading magazines like Isaac Asimov's and Fantasy and Science Fiction and Analog. He was in, I think, all three of those magazines regularly, and so I'm looking forward to reading that collection. I recently buddy read the Southern Book Club Guide to Vampire Slaying and loved it. It's a book by Grady Hendrix. It was published, I believe, last year. And so I went ahead and got an autographed copy of his latest, The Final Girls Support Group, which I haven't heard such glowing reviews of. I've heard a lot of negative reviews, and even my friend Samantha read it, and she said it wasn't as good as Southern Book Club. But I still like his style, and I think I'll enjoy it at least. And so I'm glad I got that book. Recently finished reading Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And I've never read any of Andy Weir's other books, nor have I seen the movie to this one, The Martian. After reading Project Hail Mary, I felt I just had to get this book. And so I've got that one now, part of the collection. And I've added some Stephen King. First of all, Amazon had on sale the Bill Hodge's Trilogy in hardcover. So I got a hold of that. And then I actually pre-ordered this way back in February or March. And it finally has been released, Billy Summers. So that is now part of my collection, and I love that cover. And finally, a brand new novel by an author I've heard a lot of good things about. I've even heard that she's most likely going to win a Nobel Prize for Literature. She's a great American author. She has written a lot of kind of gothic and horror type stories, but that's by no means all that she's written. And her latest is Breathe. And this one, I made sure I got a hold of a signed copy. And the bookseller even put the dust jacket in a nice mylar sleeve so that it's protected. Got this from VJ Books. And now I'm trying to find where her signature is. They put them in different places in all these books. Some of them have it up front. This one is up front, signed by the author. Story, I haven't read it, of course. The basic synopsis is that it's about a woman whose husband is dying and what they go through with that. It sounds like a brilliant novel. So that's my mid-August book haul. I swear I'm going to be slowing down with these. I have to, but I am going to be doing another one for the end of August. I've already got a bit of a stack prepared for that. I hope you're enjoying these. These are, a lot of good new books and good old books that if you've never heard of them, look for them. They're, I'm taking my time and trying to find the best books to add to the Telltale collection and to read and do reviews for. Once in a while we think a book is going to be really great and it turns out to be not so great. That happens. But for the most part, we've been coming across some really excellent work and reporting to you on some really excellent work. So when I do these book hauls, these whole stacks of books that I'm going to be reading, if you get a hold of a copy, even just an ebook, if you're not quite sure, read along with us. We post on our website what we're currently reading. Read along with us, and then comment on our Instagram or Facebook, or we've got the Facebook Telltale Readers Group where you can go in and make your own posts. Go in there and talk about these books or any other books you're reading. Interact with us. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your ideas about these books or other books that you're reading. This is supposed to be all about community and bringing us all together, not just me and Emily sitting on camera going, oh, look all the cool books I got, but to inspire you to report back what you're doing and what you're reading and what your perceptions of them are and what kinds of books you really, really like. That's probably more than anything what I want to hear is what kind of books do you love? What kind of books are really getting you excited, both new and old? Go ahead and post to us and put messages on these videos, put comments on our Instagram posts, go into our Facebook group and make whatever posts you want there. If it's inappropriate, I'll be deleting it, but if it's related to what we're talking about, your post will certainly be staying. And so like and subscribe to these videos. Check out our Instagram, check out our Facebook, check out our website. We have our whole Top Tales list in there of all the books that we think are worth reading. Although that's not definitive by far. If your favorite book isn't on there, we probably just haven't gotten to it yet. Okay. Don't get mad at us if your favorite book is not making our Top Tales list until we report like on That Hideous Strength, or we just didn't like it and can't recommend it. And that's something I'm going to stand by. A lot of people think that's great literature. I just don't. Not on the basis of the Out of the Silent Planet and Paralandra. That Hideous Strength, it just isn't there. C.S. Lewis didn't show up for work that day. I don't know what happened to him, but it just isn't there. It just can't be a top tale. And I'm going to stand by that opinion. Anyway, we'll talk to you again soon. I will. Very soon, because the end of August is coming up as I'm re-taping this video. So I'll talk to you next time. Bye.